Right now at 10, an Uber driver is threatened over the weekend. The latest from Madison police investigation and how other drivers are staying safe. And a troubled Fitchburg bar is rebranding. What other changes are coming to the former Monkey Shines Bar and Grill? Plus, the Packers prepare to face off against the Seattle Seahawks. How Jordan Love is recovering after his thumb surgery. And that's all coming up on News 3 Now at 10. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sarah Carlson. Eric Franke is off tonight. Some pretty big storms passed through southern Wisconsin earlier today. Alex is here to let us know whether we'll have more rain overnight.
I have good news, Sarah. We don't need any more rainfall. We certainly don't need any more severe weather. We've had plenty of that the next couple of weeks. Drought conditions have improved and have been replaced with considerable flash flooding that we've seen over the course of the past couple of weeks. And we have flash flood warnings right now for the southern part of Rock County, the southern part of Walworth County, until 10:15 for the Beloit area, till 10:45 for areas just south of Elkhorn, where some radar estimates are approaching around 3 inches of rain have fallen over the course of the past couple of hours. But good news on Radar 3000, the rain is becoming more few and far between as we look south of Janesville towards Beloit, over towards the Walworth area. Still some rain on 43 up near Elkhorn, widening things out here. The rain, as I was mentioning in our earlier newscasts, would eye up the Wisconsin River Valley over to I-94, and that panned out. And now we're just seeing more in the way of showers, perhaps moderate at times, and the thunderstorm activity has certainly improved, meaning we're not seeing much in the way of thunderstorm activity out there now. As we put future track into motion here, we see the continuation of those showers dwindling as we head towards the early morning hours of Tuesday. It'll take a while for those clouds to thin on out as we go into Tuesday. We're going to start the day off with some fog as part of the 3 things you need to know, and then a really nice stretch of weather is ahead this week, going all the way out into next week. How nice? What will those temperatures be? And more importantly, what will those low temperatures be? They might be a surprise, and I will surprise you in a little bit when I return.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Alex. Well, with extreme weather events on the rise, the American Red Cross of Wisconsin is asking for your help responding to local and nationwide emergencies. This morning, the group issued an urgent call for volunteers, saying it needs more trained responders who can deploy at a moment's notice. The Red Cross says volunteers will receive free, flexible training and can choose roles that work within their schedules. Speaking of, on this day back in 2005, 20 years ago, Wisconsin experienced the most tornadoes in one day, 27 of them, including what was then an F3 tornado over the Stoughton area. Former Stoughton Fire Chief Martin Lamers certainly hasn't forgotten what he saw that morning. 56 different fire departments responded from as far as Cherry Valley, Illinois.
They came in, they did shifts in town, and they covered our areas. I had a lot of people in the community that brought food in for the volunteers.
And that tornado moved for 20 miles on the ground, parallel to Route 51. A Madison rideshare driver is safe today after police say 2 riders tried to rob him early Sunday morning, pulling out a gun when he arrived at their destination. Reporter Maddie Heimsch spoke with the police about the incident and a local Uber driver who says he'll be keeping a close eye on his back seat.
According to police, the rideshare driver was about to hand over his wallet and phone to the suspects when they suddenly got out of the car and took off running, leaving the driver unscathed, but concerns about the safety of rideshares in question.
It's a real concern.
David Zahn is retired. He drives for Uber on busy nights in Madison to make a little extra money.
Done about 2,500 to 3,000 rides.
And when he heard about Sunday's incident, it led him to reflect on his own routes.
I'm sure there are people that have carried weapons into my car that I didn't know about.
Zahn says while he's never had to call the police on the job, the very nature of an Uber match has potential for danger for drivers.
When I, as a driver, get a call, I know kind of where you want to be picked up, and I know whatever you have entered for the first name. Now, meanwhile, the rider knows my real name, the make and model of the car, where I'm located at that point in time.
Officer Anthony Vogel with the Madison Police Department agrees that ride shares can be conducive to emergency calls.
We have responded to calls related to either ride shares or taxis where individuals don't want to exit the vehicle. So definitely more minor disturbances.
But the nature of Sunday's call was unusual.
This one I will definitely say is a more serious matter.
Officers don't know why the suspects didn't go through with the alleged armed robbery.
Fortunately did not take anything, fortunately did not hurt the driver who called us.
Regardless, Zahn says while he feels largely safe in the front seat, he stays vigilant to what's going on in the rear view.
I can't say I'm real concerned, but definitely is a real thing. I always have a dash cam on, recording, importantly, inside and outside the car.
Reporting in Madison, I'm Maddie Heimsch, News 3 Now.
And multiple officers responded to that call on Sunday morning. The 2 suspects were not found. In other news today, attorneys for the father of the Abundant Life Christian School shooter moved to have the complaint against him dismissed. Jeffrey Rupnow's attorneys claim that the theory of liability that prosecutors are using to tie him to the deadly shooting doesn't stand up to traditional review, and they say it violates his Second Amendment rights. Rupnow is charged with intentionally giving a dangerous weapon to a person under 18 and also contributing to child delinquency. His 15-year-old daughter opened fire at Abundant Life, killing 2 people and hurting 6 others before dying by suicide. The woman charged in a fatal crash, who was arrested by federal immigration authorities, has been returned to the Dane County Jail. Noelia Martinez Avila is accused of homicide by intoxicated use of a vehicle and other felony charges in the deaths of Hallie Helgeson and Brady Heiling. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security says Martinez Avila is from Honduras and is in the U.S. illegally. A Dane County judge ordered that ICE return her to Dane County after agents arrested her within an hour of her posting bond. To continuing coverage now, a troubled Fitchburg business is rebranding after the Common Council renewed its liquor license under certain conditions. Our Jalen Banks has been following this story for months and has more.
Just behind me is Cornerstone Grill, formerly known as Monkey Shine's Bar and Grill. The rebrand comes after several years of trouble for the business. Now, this past May, a homicide occurred at the business, prompting the city to reconsider whether or not to renew the business's alcohol license. This comes after over 200 calls of service and 28 arrests at the bar since November of 2021. In a Common Council meeting in June, the business's owner presented a slew of changes the business would undertake in order to rehab their image and to keep their license. Those included closing its doors for the month of July, changing its closing time from 1:30 a.m. to 11 p.m., create a more family-friendly environment through the rebrand of its menu, as well as some changes within the inside of the building, doing some restructuring, and as well as the complete name change, which was announced earlier today. Now, as Cornerstone Grill, the business hopes to write a new chapter in its story, leaving behind a well-documented checkered past. Now, we reached out to Cornerstone for an interview earlier today, and they say they're not taking interviews at this time, but will at a later date post their reopening. We'll continue to keep you updated both on air and online.
Okay, thank you, Jalen. In other news, several people in St. Francis, Wisconsin, near Milwaukee, had to be rescued from their apartments after a balcony walkway collapsed. Now, no one was hurt in the incident, luckily. This was just north of Milwaukee's airport last night. Firefighters used a ladder to help residents in 3 apartments get out through their windows.
So it took some communication. They made the grabs, getting the people out of the upper floors relatively quick. I mean, within the first, several minutes on the scene. And at that point, the dust had, no pun intended, the dust had settled. They were able to get the people out to safety, and then we've condemned those 4 units.
The St. Francis fire chief said also 2 exterior walls of the apartment building have some structural issues. However, they don't believe the walls are at risk of collapsing. Well, pawn shops are becoming popular with parents shopping for their kids. According to Easy Pawn, their stores saw a 4% rise in sales last quarter. Items like shoes, laptops, and mini fridges have become strong sellers for college dorms, too. And it turns out items at pawn shops are much less expensive, sometimes up to 50% off. And at the same time, tariffs are pushing up the prices on some school supplies. K-12 families are expected to spend an average of $858 this year. 74% of consumers say they are shopping earlier because of tariffs. And lifestyle experts say you can take advantage of price matching. Target and Walmart will only price match from their own websites. However, Office Depot, Staples, and Best Buy will price match their competitors.
This is priced here at $269. When I scanned it on the Target app, it's $219, and they'll honor this price.
I mean, that's a savings of $50.
Experts say your savings should actually start before you hit the stores. You can check inventory at home to make sure you're not spending money on something you already own. And also check out Buy Nothing groups on social media for freebies, and then team up with other families to make purchases in bulk. UW Health says also now is the time to start thinking about starting the school year strong with good nutrition. UW Health experts say more than 90% of children ages 4 to 18 do not meet the recommendations for vegetable intake, and more than 75% don't meet guidelines for fruit intake.
We also know that about 90% of kids consume more than the recommended intake of saturated fats, added sugars, and added sodium. We also have research showing that better intake of fruits and vegetables and more regular breakfast consumption can lead to better academic performance, better test scores, better function in a lot of different areas.
So UW Health says kids and teenagers should be eating 5 fruits and veggies each day. Dietitians recommend using frozen or canned fruits and vegetables as a budget-friendly alternative when the fresh foods are not in season or affordable. Well, the Packers continued their training camp in the preseason, and we know Jordan Love is injured, but that's not stopping him from taking to the practice field. Jason Wilde has more on how the Green and Gold's star QB is recovering.
It was just 6 days ago that Jordan Love traveled to Los Angeles to undergo surgery to repair a torn ligament in his thumb on his left non-throwing hand. And yet there he was on Monday running practice as the #1 quarterback. Now, the Packers did make some adjustments to how they practiced, including eliminating 11-on-11 work and instead doing something that Matt LaFleur can't stand doing, and that is 7-on-7, taking the defensive and offensive linemen out of the mix to allow Jordan Love to stay safe and not having one of those big fellas bump into him inadvertently. They also did something else with Love, and that was instead of having him take the snap from under center as his thumb still heals, or even a shotgun snap, he picked it up off of a stool and then made the throw. Now, we still don't know what Jordan Love's participation will look like in the coming days. The Packers practice again tomorrow. They have a joint practice with the Seattle Seahawks on Thursday, and then they play their preseason finale against the Seahawks right here at Lambeau on Saturday. Love is not expected to play in that, and they'll have to figure out a way to allow him to stay safe with that thumb and still be productive in practice. It's a lot easier to control when Matt LaFleur is in charge of only his team, as opposed to Thursday's practice when the Seahawks will be here. We'll have to wait and see what that looks like, but we'll have coverage of all of it for free at channel3000.com. And while you're there, don't forget to sign up for our newsletter, which delivers our Packers coverage directly to your inbox every single day. From Green Bay, Jason Wilde, channel3000.com.
All right, thanks, Jason, and nice throw, too. Again, the Packers will take on the Seattle Seahawks this Saturday at Lambeau Field, and kickoff is set for 3 p.m. Still to come at 10, Hurricane Erin approaches the East Coast, and also European leaders head to the White House, what they're asking for when it comes to peace in Ukraine when we come back.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
Welcome back. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky joined other key European leaders at the White House today. They're meeting with President Trump for high-stakes talks to end the war in Ukraine. Now, President Trump expressed hope that the talks will lead to a 3-way meeting between the U.S., Russia, and Ukraine, something that President Vladimir Putin has so far resisted, but Zelensky has been pushing for.
This is a good signal about Israel. I think this is very good.
We can work a deal where we're working on a peace deal while they're fighting.
Among the main issues on the table, what happens to about 20% of Ukrainian territory that Russian troops currently control. And other key European leaders want a deal that includes security guarantees so that Putin can't launch another invasion in a few years. Well, Hurricane Erin is expected to stir up some pretty dangerous conditions along the East Coast after pelting the Caribbean. Officials in North Carolina aren't taking any chances either, ordering evacuations for some islands along the Outer Banks. Residents and tourists race to get out. Coastal flooding is expected to begin tomorrow and continue through Thursday. And here, storms moved through the Madison region earlier, but nice weather coming. Chief Meteorologist has more.
Yes, indeed. We paid our price with those strong storms, severe weather, flash flooding. We got some good stuff in the forecast. It's part of the 3 things you need to get out of the forecast here. Storms will end. Eventually, we'll have some fog overnight, too. Then as we go into the week, we're going to have beautiful temperatures, mild conditions, and then going dry, clear out into next week. Nothing dry about tonight across parts of the area. Let's take a look here at, here we go, our latest flash flood watches and warnings. That flash flood warning for southern Rock County, that has been allowed to expire now since we're at 10:18 at night. But that flash flood warning still exists for the far southern part of Walworth County, including the community of Walworth, until 10:45 p.m., where we have had rainfall estimates at least 3 inches over the course of the past couple of hours. Radar 3000 showing across parts of Rock and Walworth County significant improvement here. Not seeing any heavy showers or thunderstorms, perhaps some moderate raindrops a little bit further to the north, stretching from, let's say, Platteville right along 151 over to Fort Atkinson. And that's where I was saying earlier in the evening at 5 and at 6, we'd likely see this corridor of rain hug the 151 and I-94 corridor and areas to the south. And that's what ended up lining up this evening. Areas to the north and west of there, up towards the Dells, Camp Douglas, going up 39, not seeing much in the way of any precipitation. And the rest of the evening for southern Wisconsin, we're going to see this drying trend as we move on. Future trek here, notice the showers becoming more few and far between by the time we get to midnight and after. And that's it. That ends the rain chances for a good, better part of the next 10 days. Not really seeing many big weather systems in our near term nor in our long term, as well as we move and march out into the future. So we're going to have an extended period of dry weather for a change across southern Wisconsin. Rainfall over the course of the past 12 hours has ranged from about 1/10 of an inch just north of Lone Rock to a little bit more in the spotty nature north of Madison up towards the Dells, where some places estimated picking upwards of an inch. But the heavier totals were with those thunderstorms that prompted severe thunderstorm warnings late this morning through the early afternoon hours, stretching from Platteville over to Dodgeville to Madison, and then south towards Monroe, over towards the Broadhead area, over towards Janesville and Beloit, where we've had rainfall estimates again, in some cases nearly 3 inches of water. Planning the night tonight, you probably still will need the AC tonight. It's going to be a bit on the muggy side. It's going to take a little while for the less humid air to move into southern Wisconsin as we go into Tuesday. Provided the clouds decrease early enough, we'll see high temperatures approaching near 80 degrees. But if those clouds hang on a little bit longer, as you take note over towards Watertown, over towards Milwaukee, we may see those temperatures stay in the mid-70s. So we'll be keeping an eye on the clearing out of the clouds as we go into the future. And then, speaking of clouds, there isn't a cloud in sight here as we go over the course of the next 10 days. Temperatures staying near normal through the end of the week with overnight low temperatures in the upper 50s to the lower 60s, and that's normal for this time of year. And then we're going to see temperatures take a plunge. Sunday and Monday, highs near 70, lows right around 50. Believe it or not, that's normal temperatures that you would see towards the end of September. That's beautiful and perfect.
And I think my new nickname for you should just be Chief. Do you like how I earlier was saying toss into weather? I'm like, oh, the Chief can tell us more. It is Alex Harrington. If anyone's wondering, it's the real Alex.
And you can always just say, there's the guy from Arena that just knows some stuff about the weather.
Well, I like Chief.
I'll take it.
Okay. And we're talking Badger football already? I don't know how that's possible. Speaking of September.
Yeah. No kidding. It feels like it's September, given the football season, which is closer than you may realize. Still to come in sports, we are just 10 days away from a make-or-break season for Wisconsin football. Next on News 3 Now, Vinny Anthony says he expects it to be a lot more make and not so much break. We are just 10 days away from Wisconsin football's season opener, which also means we are 10 days out from our Badger Special Show, a 30-minute special that will air right here on News 3 Now. Next Thursday at 6:30, Eric Franke and I will host it live from campus, preparing you for a season that you could say Vinny Anthony is very excited about.
I think we'll surprise people on how good we actually are. And I think people don't know how good we are just because they haven't seen us, and it's just the last year, but we're a totally different team mentally and physically. I can't wait for it. I can't stop moving right now. I want to go play. Like, I can't wait. I really can't wait.
If there is an injury bug flying around the locker room in Green Bay, it's evolved from a bug to some other kind of creature. Seriously, the amount of injuries this preseason for the Pack has been alarming. None more important than Jordan Love's ligament and that non-throwing thumb. The good news is 6 days after getting that surgery, that thumb must not be bugging him too much. He was already back out on the practice field today. Another injured Packer, Xavier McKinney, who is expected to play in Week 1, got some good news today off the field, slotting in at number 30 in the NFL's list of their best 100 players. He's Green Bay's highest-ranked player so far. It felt like the Crew may never lose. On Saturday, Milwaukee's magic continued as the Brewers, against all odds, won their 14th straight game, setting a new franchise record in the process. It was a magical run that ended on Sunday and made me think, how does it stack up with the best streaks in the history of our state? For my money, this is how it goes since 2000 at least. You've got the Cuba City Girls Hoops squad, who won 76 straight, followed by a close second when Wanakee football strung together 48 straight. And who could forget when the Packers won 19 in a row in the early 2010s, including that Super Bowl trophy. This year's Brew Crew, on the other hand, they're in good company right behind that Green Bay squad, rounded out by the 2019 Bucks, who won 18 straight. And back to baseball, the Brewers had a chance to start a new streak today. The first of a 5-game set in Chicago was scoreless in the third until Bryce Terang touched them all. His 13th homer of the year and his 7th in the month of August makes it 1-0 Crew. And in the fifth, Terang says one is nice, but twice is Bryce. He drives in another run, and the Brewers beat the Cubs 7-0. You can catch tomorrow night's game on our sister station, Television Wisconsin. Now, today's game was supposed to be a doubleheader in the Windy City, but Game 2 got postponed due to rain. As to whether we'll have rain in our city tomorrow, Alex will tell you next.
Not at
hi.
all.
We're talking about.
Talking about.
No, we're talking about not wanting severe weather.
And not wanting severe weather. In an interview that I did here in 1997, our former friend Gary was entertaining my questions, and we were reminiscing about that. And well, now I'm here to show you what's on radar 3000 right now. Just a few rain showers stretching from Platteville over to Monroe, south of Madison over to Janesville. Perhaps moderate at most in terms of the intensity here. The heavy rain is now since pushed off to the south and towards the east. And now let's get ready for a nice, beautiful stretch of weather. Temperatures barely even getting to 70 by the time we get to the weekend.
All right, thanks, Chief. And thanks for watching News 3 Now at 10. The Late Show is up next, and our next show is tomorrow morning at 4:30. You can always find us streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000 Plus. Have a good night.